I once had a man tell me, "You're selling persimmon trees?" Now, I was at a plant show, and he said, "You're selling persimmon trees? I don't know why anybody likes those. They're disgusting." When I was a kid, I had a persimmon, and it was like my mouth was just like, I said, like you ate a bunch of cotton? He's like, "Yeah, it was like cotton. It was horrible." I said, "How could people ever eat these things?" And I said, "Well, what you got was an astringent persimmon." I said, "Was it like a little persimmon like that?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that was the native North American persimmon. And they are very astringent until they are jelly ripe. Like right at the point where you think this thing is rotten, then it's ready. And it tastes delicious and very good most of the time. But he had never actually had it the way it was supposed to be eaten. So if I told somebody, you know what? Bananas are one of the best fruit in the entire world. And the next time the person went to Walmart, they just went over and they broke a banana off of one of those green clumps of banana. They took a banana and they just bit it, skin and all, green, and they chewed on it. They would say, "Why does anybody ever eat it? This is horrible." But this right here is a Japanese persimmon. And this is one of the best fruits you can grow in the Deep South. This variety of Japanese persimmon is a very common one. It's called Fuyu. And the Fuyu persimmon is a non-astringent persimmon, meaning that I could eat it just like this while it's still hard, like an apple, or I could let it get a little softer on the counter and then eat it. If you have an astringent persimmon, it's the type that has to be really, really, truly fully ripe. The non-astringent type don't make your mouth feel like it's full of cotton, even if you get them a little bit early. This tree right here has been in the ground here for 3 years. It was at the previous property that we were renting for probably a year or two. So probably sometime beginning of 2021 or so, we planted it in a pot when it was a little tree. And it survived being moved over here, and now it's coming into its 3rd year. Last year it made us a bucket of persimmons, and this year it's going to make us a bucket of persimmons as well. This tree fits really well into a small backyard. Doesn't take up a lot of space. It's easy to keep small and pruned. This one is cut down pretty close to the ground so it stays sprawling sideways, and the fruit tends to just make it naturally go out. They could get maybe 20-25 feet if you had a really happy, exceptional specimen, but a lot of times you just see them as kind of a shrubby tree in the backyard. The flavor is just like honey and sunshine. And unlike a lot of trees in the South, like if you grow peaches or plums, often what happens is it'll be cold and then it'll be warm and then it'll be cold in the spring, and you'll have the tree start to wake up and then you get a late frost and all the blooms freeze off and you don't get any fruit that year. Well, the persimmon, at least this variety, will wake up after your last frost. It wakes up rather late and blooms, so I've never had a problem with that. And it's also quite cold hardy, so it's not like some trees where they just freeze to the ground every few years, like some of the figs will around here. If you have a small fig, it'll freeze down and come back and freeze down and come back until sometimes, it ends up a big fig and then it can kind of outgrow it. But these trees are cold hardy and are just exceptionally easy to grow. I don't water this tree out here. I throw mulch around it to keep the grass from growing around it. You can see I let weeds grow around it and through it, and like this dog fennel. Every time I come out here and chop some weeds down, I throw it at the base to feed it. But it is grafted onto the native North American persimmon, which likes poor, acid, sandy soil and grows just fine in it. So you have this fine fruiting tree on a scrappy, wild, native variety of tree on the roots. And it makes a perfect combination for an easy to grow tree. That's probably the closest thing to a mango you could grow in this area. Just sweet, late fall, and well worth growing. So if you don't have a Japanese persimmon, I highly recommend growing one. I grow this non-astringent, and I also grow the large astringent types, which we wait until they're basically like pudding to eat them. And they have a rich, spiced flavor to them that I really like. But this one, for the average gardener, this is your all-around just late fall sugar bomb. Sunshine and honey. If you can get one from a local nursery and put it in the fall, anytime through the spring, that's the best time to plant them. Get one of these in the ground and you will be eating persimmons for years and years and years and years. And if you were to buy organic persimmons from the store, they cost you a few bucks. This one I get more than enough to have paid for the tree a few times over, and it's just going to go more and more and more in the future. Japanese persimmon, F-U-Y-U, the Fuyu. That's the all-around one that most people enjoy, and you're not going to get a mouthful of cotton. Thanks for joining me. Catch you all next time, and until then, may your thumbs always be green.